start putting them in. Okay, so what we're working on here is modeling organic compounds. So instead of drawing them by hand, we are going to actually model them using an application called Molview. Okay, so once you have the assignment open and you've watched this video, you're going to want to open Molview, which can be found at this website. And looks like this. And it is very cool. A very cool application, but don't feel like you have to donate. Just close this. And then they have automatically this very complicated organic compound up here, and they have this 3D structure of it as well. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to trash this because this isn't what we're working on. Okay, so we'll trash that. So click the garbage can and it'll clear whatever's there. Okay, and then the assignment is in 2 parts. The first part is kind of like free form. I just give you a type of compound. You make up a name on your own, and then you're going to build it, and you're going to copy the structure and the 3D model into the table. Okay, so you can come up with whatever alkane you want. One of the reasons I did it this way, full disclosure, is because if it's kind of free for you to pick the compound you're going to build, it means that I'm not going to get the exact same assignment from everyone, I hope. Okay, so that you're actually kind of engaging with the content yourself. Obviously, I hope that you guys will support each other, but it's important that you are also trying to engage in the work you're on your own and not just copying and pasting someone else's work. Okay, because you don't learn if you do it that way. So I'm just going to pretend, so for example, an alkane, I just have to pick a prefix. So let's say pent, and then it's an alkane, so it would be pentane. Okay, so alkane, kind of the easiest example. The name is pentane. So now I'm going to go back into Molview and I'm going to try to build pentane. And there's a few different options here. So you can either start with just the sticks like this, so creating single bonds. You can use this option here. The most basic way though is to just click on C, because I know that pentane is going to be carbon based. And when I click, I end up with a C right here. Okay, and if I want to, so pentane is going to have 5 carbons. If I want to add another carbon, I just click the carbon I already made and I drag, and then I'm making more carbon. So that's 3, 4, pent has 5. So I need 1 more, like that. Okay. The next thing I'm probably going to want to do is just clean up my structure. So I can click this little broom right here, and it's going to make sure that it's like a nice size to fit on the screen. And if I've made any kind of wonky angles when I was drawing it myself, it's going to tidy those up for me. So there is my beautiful skeletal structure of pentane. Okay, and then you'll notice if you look back into the assignment, it asks you for the structure, which is what I just built. That's this. But then it also asks for a 3D model. Once I've built the structure, it doesn't take a lot of work to get the 3D model. I just click 2D to 3D. And then it automatically generates one. The one thing I'm going to ask is that if you click and drag, you can kind of move this around. And I'm going to ask that so automatically it looks like this. I can't see all the hydrogens when it's like that. So I'm going to ask that you just rotate it a little bit so you can see all the atoms present in the molecule. Okay? Here, don't worry about this note. That would be more of a concern if we were like higher level chemists. The 3D structures they make for us here are great. Okay, so now I have my skeletal structure, I have my 3D model, and then I need to export them. So there are 2 ways you can do this. I'm not going to show you the first way, which is just to take screen caps and copy them into the Google Doc. I know that you guys can figure that out. Everyone's good at taking screen caps. So go ahead and do that if you want to. And then just make sure you're cropping them to size. So if you're copying the whole screen, don't copy the whole screen into here and then just leave it like that. Make sure you're cropping it onto just the structure you want. Okay. The other option is to download the 2 images. So tools, So this is a download symbol right here under export. So I can download the structural formula image. And then at the same, I'm just going to do it while I'm in this screen. I'm also going to download the 3D model image like that. Okay, and it's going to download the whatever version is displaying. So do make sure that you move your 3D model around so you can see all the atoms before you download it. Okay, so then I'm going to go back into my assignment and I'm going to go insert image. And because I downloaded it from my computer, I'm going to upload from computer. And then mine will automatically come from, it'll automatically go to my downloads folder. So that's where I'm going to look at it. So I can open, and it opens it right there. And then you're welcome to, it kind of copies a lot of the screen, so you can crop it down if you want to keep things a little tidier looking, but that part doesn't matter so much because you it's not like you have to print this off. It doesn't matter if it goes over many, many pages. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the same thing for my 3D model. So that's this one right here. Nice. And once again, just because that's how I like things, I'm going to just crop it down so that it's not so much white space. Go, and then maybe I'll make it a bit bigger so you can see. Okay. Very nice. Okay, so I have an example here. These are not the same answers that you will have. So the alkane I picked was pentane with 5 carbons, drew the structure, copied it in, and then 3D model, copied it in. Okay, so you've got 12 different types of compounds that I want you to add here. Okay, and you have over a week to do this assignment. So it's not like you have to do it all at once. You can kind of chip away at it. One thing I also want to point out in Molview is I'm working on a laptop here, so it makes sense for me to be using the desktop theme, but there is also this touch option, which I believe will work a little bit better if you're on like an iPad or some sort of tablet. Okay, you can try that out. Okay. So then I want to show you how to do part 2 of the assignment, which is a little bit trickier. So part 2 is down here, and here I've given you names, and you'll see these names are a bit tricky. They're a bit complicated. So this is kind of a more challenging part of the assignment. So you have 5 to do. I'm going to include one example that I'm going to show you now in this video. Okay, so I want to build 1,3,5 tribromo cyclohextuene. Whew, that's a big mouthful. Okay, so don't worry, you don't have to worry about having to read these out loud. That's one nice thing about remote learning. It's just a matter of being able to pick out the important parts of the compound, okay, from the name. So if I'm looking here, hex, I know that means 6 carbons, but I also want to make note of the cyclo right here. Okay, so it's not just 6 carbons in a straight chain, it's 6 carbons in a ring. So I'm going to go into Molview. I'm going to trash the structure I had in there before because that's not what I want. And then I have 2 options here. I can either draw a ring of 6 carbons using the carbon tool, or I know I need a 6 carbon ring, and I can actually just sneak that in there like that. Okay, so I can see that this is a 6 carbon ring right here, a cyclohexane, so I'm going to put that in. Okay, so then let's go back. So we've got kind of the basic sort of skeleton or the backbone of our structure here. Let's see what else I need on there. So 1,3,5 tribromo. Okay, so the 1, 3, and 5 mean that I need to put something on carbons 1, 3, and 5. And then tribromo means those things are bromine atoms. So if I go in here, you'll see bromine is one of my options of elements over here. And if there's ever an element you need that's not present there, you can call up the whole periodic table and drag it in. But honestly, all the ones you need for the assignment are automatically displayed. Okay? And then I know I want a bromine, so I'm going to click 1 carbon and I'm going to drag it, and then it's going to add a bromine. Okay, so that first carbon I added that to, that's going to be carbon 1. So then this would be carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5. Okay, So I've got my tribromo. The very last thing, so this is a really complicated example that I chose to show you, is that there's an ene on the end here, meaning that there's a double bond somewhere between carbons. And then the 2 right here tells me that it's after the second carbon. So if I go in here, so this I decided before was going to be my carbon number 1. Okay, so then this is carbon 2, which means my double bond has to come after carbon 2. And you have the option of creating a double bond over here on the left side. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click that bond, and there we go. There's my double bond. Okay, I'm going to click this, which is going to resize it so it fits a little nicer on the window. And then I can copy it to 3D, but for this part of the assignment, you actually don't need the 3D structure, only the skeletal structure. Okay, and then I'm just going to export my structural formula right there. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to copy in my structure. Insert image, upload from computer, and there it is. Okay, and I'm going to resize it just because it's like a bit more large than necessary. Okay, a couple things I want to point out. So I've given you some instructions here that'll hopefully complement the video a little bit and help you to figure out what you need. And then also just a note on how you're being marked. Okay, so I'm going to give you knowledge, application, and thinking marks for this. So under knowledge, each compound is completed. And then at least 4 different prefixes are used. So when you're coming up with your compound names, you want to make sure that you've used at least 4 of the different prefixes, like meth or eth or prop or oct. Okay? If you could use all of them up to oct or even up to dec, that's great, but at least 4 to get those 4 marks. Okay? Then application means that the names and structures match. So whatever name you've written here, you've created a structure that is correct for that. Okay? And then at least 2 names use numbers correctly. So for some of these, it makes sense. Like for example, with an aldehyde, an alcohol, sometimes you'll have a group, a special group that's on a carbon that needs a number to show that's where the alcohol group is. Okay, so I want you to include at least 2 examples of that to get the 2 marks here. And then the thinking mark is just for part 2. So there are 5, I'm going to leave this example in here, but there are 5 more structures that I want you to build from kind of tricky names. Okay, and you get 2 marks for each of those done correctly. Okay, and part marks are possible if you get some of the right ideas. So even if the name looks a little bit intimidating, try your best because I will give you some credit even if it's not totally correct. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Please post comments, send me emails if you run into any issues. And thanks so much.